Well, joining us now here on the program as we recap the latest results, CHS reporting their first quarter fiscal year 2024 earnings. We're going to talk about it and get some thoughts from their president and CEO, Jay Debertin, joining us here today on the show. And Jay, thanks so much for the time, and it's great to talk with you again. Hope you're doing well.
We are, Jesse, and great to be with you.
Let's dive into the numbers here. First quarter, fiscal year 24. Give us a rundown of some of the highlight numbers that we saw here to start, Jay.
Sure. We had a really strong quarter, Jesse. Just really pleased with our results. We had revenues of about $11.4 billion for just the quarter. It's our first quarter for CHS. That resulted in earnings of about $522.9 million. Now that's down from the same first quarter a year ago, but let me just put a little context behind that. A year ago, we made just about $783 million. And that was a record that the company has never seen before for a first quarter. This year, we made just about $523 million. That actually is our second best quarter ever, only behind last year's quarter. So that's where I say a very, very strong quarter for the company. And, you know, Jesse, as you and I have talked about before, in the agricultural sector, our margins, our prices fluctuate each and every year. And we're cognizant of that. And we expect that, and we build the company for that. And so that's what we're going to, that's likely what we're going to see. It's just margins will be different this year. And last year they were different than the year before. And that's who we are. But a really, really strong quarter. We saw really good results all the way across the platforms of CHS. Our energy, our ag, our nitrogen production, our corporate and other all had nice results for the quarter.
Well, Jay, and you and I have talked about this before as well. I think with strong results like that, kind of the diversified segments of CHS. I mean, talk about that a little bit, but you kind of alluded to it there. But obviously, a lot of different segments that the company, the cooperative, could pull from here. And just talk about some of that a little bit for us.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the advantages of CHS and our diversification across these industries. Our energy segment had earnings of about $267 million. Again, that was down a bit from last year, but last year we just had this incredibly large refining margins and crude advantages for the crudes that we buy at our refineries. In our ag segment, we had earnings this year of about $169.7 million. And that story, Jesse, has been in our ag segment is similar to what you and I have talked about in the past. We had really good results in our processing side, particularly our soybean processing that's being driven a lot by renewable diesel and the things that you and I have spoken about in the past. But, our grain segment, which is largely reflects kind of exports off the U.S., the export market for the United States in ag commodities has been a bit challenged these last couple of quarters. And we've talked about the reasons for that and how the U.S. market is kind of sitting a little bit high in the market globally. And that happens from time to time. Crop conditions around the world are uneven, and Brazil had a big crop that came off, and that's just that's the business that we're in. But we're feeling that in our grain segment as total industry exports are just relatively light. Coming off the U.S. So we feel that in our grain export business. And our agronomy side, we had a really, really strong fall. Bottom line, but behind all that, Jesse, is just as you say, we have always parts of our company that seem to have wind at their back, and parts of our company where it's a bit more of a struggle, and that's who we are, and that's embedded in our results.
Well, Jay, of course, we're well into the fiscal year, but technically the calendar year just started. So your thoughts for what lies ahead for CHS as we look across agriculture and look across the company, either good or bad things that could be wins or challenges here in the year ahead. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I'll still stay with the theme that we've talked about in the past, Jesse. I look at the outlook for agriculture as good. I think commodity Prices are, while they're not at the high levels that we've seen in the past, nor are input costs at the high levels that we've seen in the past. They've kind of reset a bit. Global demands for protein, strong. The U.S. farmers' ability to compete around the world, strong. More options coming at farmers, particularly in the case of processing that is being driven by the things we've talked about, that I just think are more options for farmers. And we all know that farmers like options. And I think that looks good. But it won't be long, and we'll be starting to think about the things that we always do. What's moisture? How's the spring look like it's going to unfold? But I sit here today saying I think the outlook remains optimistic and remains good. We're sure approaching it that way. Got a lot of agronomies put down this last fall, which is going to take some pressure off trying to get it done this spring, and that usually helps things. And so I'll stand here at the doorstep of the new calendar year and say I'll remain optimistic for agriculture.
Well, another piece of news that we should discuss as well here before we wrap it up, Jay, CHS and Growmark have entered into an exploratory process. I know there's a long-standing relationship here between the two cooperatives. Can you give us a few more details of what exactly we're looking at here with CHS and Growmark working together?
Sure. So CHS is a strong agricultural energy cooperative headquartered here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Growmark, a strong agriculture and energy cooperative headquartered in Bloomington, Illinois. We've had relationships and have relationships between the two companies. We have events, do ventures together. And the boards of directors together said, let's see if we should or could do something even larger together. And we don't know what that would mean or how big that could be. And that's why we're exploring it together. We aren't in any way announcing any answer to that question. We are saying we're going to look together between the two companies that have ventures together, and could there be something bigger that's good for the shareholders of CHS and good for the shareholders of Growmark, to position the companies really, for an increasingly competitive world, and at a time when you have two strong companies in the case of Growmark and CHS.
Well, maybe the next time you and I have a conversation, we'll have some more answers to that possible partnership between the two companies. And again, recapping the first quarter fiscal year results for CHS. Good report as always. With that, Jay Debertin, President and CEO of CHS, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate the time.
Happy to be here, Jesse. Thank you again.